what I have done is I've just vacuumed all the excess off, and welcome back. And I'm just going to finish off this grass texture before it completely dries. So like I say, I've just vacuumed it all off. I'm going to just moist all the texture just with a little bit of water. So I just want to put a little bit over all the texture, just to make sure all the layers sort of sit in, you know. And I might put a little bit more green texture over the rest of it as well. But why I vacuumed it all up is because if I get the water on it, it could start setting in those places. It shouldn't do, but I don't want to take that chance. So it's just give it a good old soak, and then it soaks through to the glue. And then you can add more layers if you find you've got patches. Something's not gone quite right. I always have a little bit of washing up liquid in. I'm really just going to add a little bit more, a slightly different mix. Just to make sure I've got plenty of texture on there. And once it's dried, you can see any bits that you've missed as well. So there's quite a bit on this here that I need to just tip the board up so I can actually get the grass textures into there, but that'll be a little bit later. I didn't really need much for this layer. So I'm just going to leave all this now. Well, I moist all the grass texture, but I've still got a little bit loose in a few places. I did make a PVA mix as well and spray that on. Didn't completely fix it. Obviously I have put a couple more layers. I sprayed that on and put some more layers on and then sprayed a bit more on, but I've got a few little bits where I've vacuumed up and it actually has removed it, and then I've got a few bits where it's loose, so try and fix that. I've decided to just use some hairspray. Just make sure when you're going to do this you vacuum it all up off all your tracks and everything like that, because it will stick to everything and it will stick to the track, so just be careful, you know. But I'm going to try and fix all the rest of the layers in now with this hairspray. So, and if you need to add more, it's easy enough to do. So, but if it's loose, you'll see the hairspray blowing it. So just try not to get anywhere near any of the tracks. So. And it's great actually if you want to put another layer on using hairspray, because you can another layer will just stick to it straight away, so you can build your grass layer textures up easily. I actually didn't think I'd need to do this with using the water and the PVA, so I'm going to go on the rest of the layout. Any bits that I can see I can see the green paint coming through, like on here, I'm just going to add a bit more green texture, spray a bit of airspray on it, and add a bit of the grass texture. And with the road that I made out of card, where I joined the cards together, I could see a bit of a gap, so I put a bit of filler in there. I just need to tone that down, give this a repaint, and then get some road texture on it. And one thing is, it doesn't have to be perfectly smooth, because obviously roads aren't. I'm just using some 400, something like that, so. There's still a little bit of a gap there, actually. Should be alright once I get the paint and the textures on. I think that should be okay. Just need to vacuum that up. So I don't want any of this dust there at the moment while I get the paint on there. Do seem to have a little bit of a gap there, so I'll put a bit of glue underneath there. That should hold that there nice. A little bit of grass textures come out there, so I can add that in. Right, I'm going to have a go at getting this road texture looking more like tarmac. So I've mixed up some just grey paint, a little bit of water, a little bit of black, just to give it a dark grey look. And I'm going to do a few smaller sections at a time so it doesn't dry so fast, I think. So I think I'll just do all of this area. I don't want to layer it on too thick so you don't get all the brush marks. Now I've never tried this technique before either. So normally when I'm doing road textures, I'll use washers, some sort of paint like this, and then use N-gauge ballast, just sprinkle it very lightly over the surface, and then I'll paint over that again in the same colour. It blends all the N-gauge ballast in. And gives it a sort of a texture. But obviously this is an N-gauge layout, so it's not going to, you're going to have great big boulders that you're trying to drive over, so not ideal. So I'm going to just stop at that point. So what I did get is some is the Pico sort of road surface, and you'd normally just brush this on, but I'm going to just have a go at just letting it just sprinkle onto the wet, and if it doesn't turn out that well I can always try something else. Oops. Always paint over it. Seems to have spilt some there. I just want this to soak into the paint. Just give it a feel of unevenness, you know, so doesn't matter if I get any on the grass itself, but I think I'll leave that there, and I'll carry on with the rest of this. Let's get this painted. Where it joins, it's obviously not going to be a massive problem, but I think that was wet enough so I can do the rest of this all in one, and then get this tarmac texture, see what it looks like when it's dried. Maybe I should have done a tester piece, but I think this will be fine. I can then dry brush a little bit on at a later date and just see if that works. Okay, let's get the rest of this on. See how this will look once it's all dry. I'm over in the conservatory, so it's not the best place for this to dry quick, but I don't want to just keep moving the layout from room to room is not always that possible when you're waiting for things to dry. And right, I don't think I need to put any more on there. Seems to be a bit sparse at this end actually, so I think I'll just put a little bit more just on there. That's where the building's going to go, so it doesn't really matter too much. But just going to leave this to dry, have a look, see what the texture looks like. I can always do some like a colour wash over it, but I've got it on the grass there, I can blend that in. It's not going to be an issue. That does seem to have dried okay, but it's not looking how I want it. Seems to have sort of dried in quite clumpy patches, not really as powdery as I was expecting, so I just rubbing it over actually turn it back into the proper powder, so it clumped up a little bit. Okay, that seems to be working. Probably put more on than I needed actually, because it's but if you look at it, it is actually all loose now. It's not stuck into the paint, which I was expecting it to. So I'm going to have to fix that in place. But that's okay actually. That's given it quite a nice texture. It's a little bit light compared to what I was hoping, but I could always put a wash over the top once I've fixed it in place. So I'm going to have a go at fixing that in place now. And to fix this in place, I'm just going to use some matte lacquer. Well, I'd normally use for card buildings and things like that. So I'm just going to make sure that I'm happy with all the texture before I spray this on. It seems to be okay. I mean, at the moment I probably could brush a little bit of it off if I wanted to. Or even get a bit more texture on it. See, that's not too bad. I think it works quite well with you rubbing it down as well. So, yeah, I think I'm just going to give this a fix in place. I need to do it from a reasonable distance so I don't blow it all the way, I think. Probably more distance than that. So we've got a bit of clumping up. I'll deal with that. But I think that'll fix that in place. Let me just... Right, so I'm going to leave that dry a little bit. It's gone darker obviously because it's now wet again, so let's see what it looks like once all that's dried, you know, and see if I'm still happy with it. I'll probably be able to still brush away some of the clumps, hopefully. But I need to do a lot of track cleaning. Now it seems to have all dried okay. A little bit where it seems to have vanished some of the texture, but that's okay. I did spill some in the river, so I'm just going to vacuum everything up now just to give it a quick tidy. Okay, there was no loose bits came off the road, so that's all nicely stuck. Looks okay. You know, obviously not quite as good as photographic textures, but it should actually be better if I'm going to get it any moisture around there. But I will get the airbrush and do a little bit more around all the edges of the road anyway with some earth textures, because I need to do that all the way around all the grass areas that I've added in. So I've still got to airbrush again around the track and disguise everything in. So while I'm doing that, I'll do a little bit on the road. I'm going to paint the riverbed next, so I can get the reeds in and some of the detail parts into the river. And I want to fit the tunnel portals and the walling. I think they're the next two jobs to do. So painting first, because that's going to take the longest, and then I can start putting in some of the tunnel mouths. So a quick closer look at the road. So you can see it's not turned out too bad. Now it's all dried, reasonable texture. So I'm just once I've added a little bit more weather in, I think that should look quite good. So, okay, let's get on with the river. So I've just mixed a little bit of brown paint, just acrylic, and I just want to get the first coat on the riverbed. Maybe a little bit too brown. That might need to do a darker colour in the middle, give it a little bit feeling of depth. One good thing with the acrylics, it actually does make quite a waterproof barrier when I come to put the deep pour resin in. But there is still concern whether it will leak out anywhere. So I'm going to need to mix a bit more paint up. Not quite enough. I'll go get some more mixed up and I'll finish this off. That's the first coat of paint all on the riverbed itself, so I've got to let that all dry before I can tackle anything else. So I think now I'm going to start working on some of the slate walling and the tunnel mouths. I just painted all these walls up, just the same as I did the tunnel portals, and that just sits in there nice. Now I've just got to arc this and trim it really to the right level, so I'm just going to mark it with a knife initially, give me an idea where I'm going to cut, and then I'm going to cut this off. But when you do cut sort of these, do it on several passes. Don't try and cut it all in one. You'll either hurt yourself or you'll just ruin it. So just do lots of little cuts initially. As I have my mark, I'm just going to make sure I cut it as a straight line. So don't rely on just where you've marked it. So I need to rest this on something. So rest it off the edge of the table. Try and mark this line. Are we square? I hope so. Right, that should be straight line there, and I can just see the mark. Oops, I think we moved slightly there. Should be my straight line there. So all I've got to do then is get my ruler and just cut this out. Like I was saying, just use several passes. It's going to take a little bit of time. But it soon goes through, as long as your blade's sharp enough. Should stay in the groove now. There we go. I'm going to go and test fit this and see if that looks alright. And obviously I can't utilise that, so I'm going to have to use another sheet for the edge, other side. Which is a bit of a pity. So you use 2 whole sheets. Let's go and test fit this. Right, I'm hoping I've cut this roughly right sort of size. I measured it right. Normally I always say measure twice, cut once, but I actually measured once and cut once, so that's quite good. That looks alright. I've got my tunnel mouth there. That's going to fit roughly like that, and sorry for the depth I'm needed. Just there. Right, I'm going to cut this and start getting these fitted. Right, so I got this cut to the right size, but obviously going to leave me with this hard edge there, so I need to just take just a small piece off there, sort of chamfer it, and the same on the other piece, and then they should join together with only a small gap. Then it should be okay. hoping that makes them join a little bit better with a lot less sort of overhang, so that should be okay. So I'm going to go and get these fitted now. I have decided to glue these two pieces together first, so I'm just going to use some PVA glue and it's quite a runny glue, that one. Should be okay though. And that should now glue in place and set okay. Don't think I'll be using that same glue on the any other parts unless I really need it as runny as that. So and before I glue the tunnel mouth in place, I want to just test fit this, make sure it still fits right. I might have to just take a little bit of a piece of scenery out there, but to get that to fit flush. Right, I need to be able to push that bit further back. So this is why I didn't want to fit it until I've actually just used the coaches, and I've just derailed that one. And let me get this one back on. I seem to be a bit heavy-handed. Right, I'm going to get these on. Right, I eventually got that on, but as you can see I've got plenty of clearance on this side. I just need to move the tunnel mouth in a little bit more that way. So I just need to cut a tiny little bit out of the scenery there and just push that a bit further in. So this is why I didn't want to glue it before I'd test. So that's I mean, it's not ideal doing it on a curve. I mean, it would be better on a straight, look more realistic as well, but I don't have the space. Yep, now I've moved that a little bit. I have knocked my wall, so I'm going to have to press something on there, but I've got plenty of clearance now, so I can then glue that in place. I'm just using PVA glue again. I just want to make sure it's nice and straight. Good thing about PVA is it's easy to remove if you want to. Right, I've got all the clearance I need there. And I just need to press that wall in. As it's starting to come loose, because when I was trying to cut away here, I just knocked it, and that's knocked the joint on there and everything like that. So I don't think it's as neat as when you first saw it. But I'm just going to press that in, let the PVA glue dry, and come back to that piece. Right, as the sort of paint is about dry on the riverbed, I'm just going to add a bit more of a darker colour towards the centre. Let me just test a little bit, sort of around this bridge area, I think. I think it might be a little bit too dark. I've used exactly the same brown but just added a bit of black. So I think if I do this just in the centre and then do a bit of a wash to blend it in a bit more. It's obviously still wet on this part here to get it to blend in. Get onto this bridge. Underneath that one. I'm just going to get a wet brush and just try and blend that in a little bit. Just don't want it to look like a line down the river, so I'm just going to put plenty of water on. And let this blend in a lot more. I'm going to be putting murky water in this, so you might not see really a great deal of this anyway. So I just didn't want a centre line down the middle of the river. It'll look like a road. And just get underneath there. I think that'll be okay. I have all the platforms now secured in place. I put a top ledge just onto here just to finish that edge off, and I was just and I've trimmed a little bit off the bridge there. I wasn't sure to do like a slate wall on the bridge or not, so I did have a look at that and I wasn't totally convinced. So I think I'm just going to leave it with the support on there. I'm going to need to extend that support, I think, a little bit. Yeah, because we're off the ground there. So once I've glued that in, I will work out how much to extend that to. I think that should be fine like that. And I've just got to put the extra bit on the wall there. So that should give, just need to make sure that that's level, you know, so I need to level that off. And so I'm going to fix that in place, and then I'm going to work on the support on the other side. I'm just going to use just some standard, not got that much left, just standard all-purpose glue, some Bostik. So I'm going to have to go and fetch some more of that from B&Q, I think. While I'm just waiting for the glue to dry on the platform bridge there, I got these Pico buffer stops, painted them up, painted the lamp on it red, and I'm just going to get these fixed in place on the ends there. Hindsight, I should have had that to about here. So I mean, I could have added a little piece of track in, but I think that would have been better off a bit further back, because good shed will end up here, so you'll end up with one wagon in, shunt it back out, and then shunt another one in. So there again, there's a bit of shunting. So I'm just going to get these glued in place. For where the platform end is, I've used one of these sleeper built buffer stops from Pico as well, and that will just go on the near where the platform is and just look a bit different. So I'm going to get those glued in, and they don't look too bad. And as you can see, that seems to fit all right there and look okay. I'm also going to get these in place, so to sort of stop anybody who was walking down to the platform falling off the edge. So I think they'll look okay. Need to get those cut to the right size, so just need a little bit more, and then a small piece in there. So these are just 3D printed, and I've just painted them grey just to match in, but I'm going to get those glued in place. I think going across there look okay. I need to put that back a little bit more. I've not fixed this in place. I'm just sort of using that as just to see how it looks at the moment. But I'm going to get that all glued in there. I want to put lighting in the building, so I'm not going to fix it in place until the last part, sort of thing, you know. So let me get all those in. I think glue them in place now. Right, I just need to do a little airbrushing just to blend the grass into where all the ballast is now. And I did get myself a new airbrush, so I'm going to test this one out, see how it goes, because I had trouble when there was airbrushing the track last time and I threw the old airbrush away, so I needed to order a new one, and I'll just see how this one goes. Right, I'm just going to try this air gun out. I'm just using some of the Ammo MIG paints, and this one is Earth, and then the code is AMIG 0073, and it's basically quite an old one. I've watered this down a little bit because I don't want it to be, so it's one of my older paints that I had the new set, so I'm just I've got the air gun on quite a low. I think I'll lower that down a little bit more. Getting the right setting, I think that might be okay. And all I'm going to do is just go along the sort of the grass edge, and I just want to just get a bit of air, you know, painted on there. Really, it's not going to be that visible. It's going to be quite subtle. Just to try and blend in the grass and but I've still got a little bit of loose grass texture there. Thought I'd fixed all that down with the hairspray. Why is the paint not coming out there? I need to water that down a little bit more, or put a bit more in. So I know that's coming out nice now. Let me get that out of the way. You've probably got to see that better from here. So just trying to blend that in. working quite nice actually. Yep, out of paint. Let's drop a bit more in. So I was going to do just round the track edge, but I realised it actually looks quite good getting a bit of earth texture onto the grass as well. I need to change the compressor as well. Well, I didn't mean to get that on the road itself there, but that'll be okay. I pressed the button a bit too hard. I'll turn that off. I think that's blended all that in nicely. Okay, so I'm going to let that dry and come back and do some more. Right, that's all dried, and I'm just putting the last colour on, which is dust, and that is MIG 0072. It's quite old ones, these. It's about out. And I've watered these down quite a bit over time, so it's quite good for just light airbrushing. So I'm going to give this the last sort of covering. I'm going to try and give the stones, you know, the rock formations a bit of this as well. And should try it on the. Yep, that's coming out nice. Just a bit hard to see when you're trying to do it from the opposite side. So I just want to get a thin layer around the track and the grass edge, and quite a bit where the stones are. there to do these ones. Well on the road surface, so just give it a little bit more texture. Smells just good to try a bit. Maybe that was a little bit strong there. I should have not pressed down so hard. Okay. I'm going to leave that to all dry. One good thing is when you do water these down, it goes on a little bit stronger and then goes off. So that's okay. Quite happy with that. I was thinking why I've got the airbrush out, I was just give this a little bit of a light rust colour. So let me sit there. To just change the inside of it. It's a bit hard to see when I'm trying to do it on here, but I'm going to just have a look at this other bridge, just give that a light dusting. I think that'll be okay. I'll just turn that off. Yeah, I think that will be okay actually. Don't need to do any more. Don't need really do the other side, so because I'm not going to view it from that side. But yeah,
well, that's starting.
I think I'll just get all this air gun away now. Good. So it's quite a good new air gun.
Extra weathering.
So quite happy with that.
Impressed on how well it went on the grass textures there. So obviously there's still quite a bit more work on the scenery side, but that's starting to look quite good. You've got good texture on the road there and a slipway. I've got the tunnel mouth in there, little bit of a spray near it. I'm mainly trying to get the rocks, but I've also got some like foliage that I'll need to put in place there. I've weathered that bridge a little bit more. Got the base, sort of the bed for the river. There's more work to do on that yet. And that bridge looking a little bit better. Bit of weathering over it. And the platforms, much better. Now to see them actually properly in and then going into the tunnel. Obviously I've got a few gaps here that I need to work all the foliage on to hide all that. And that slate wall looks actually quite good. So I've knocked this off twice today. Yeah, I've had to re-glue it. But yeah, overall starting to come into a model railway. Right, I think I need to do a little bit more on the riverbed next. Oh, before I tackle anything on that river, I want to just put the backboards on, the sideboards, and just make sure that I know where the lowest level is. So when I put the scenic backboard on, I'm not going to see anything beneath that. So I need to get a working pen.
Right, I think this one will work. So, yeah, I just need to really just know where the lowest part is. So if I do mount the backboard, the back seam on, I'm definitely going to make sure that I've covered that line. So and do it anywhere where it's the lowest part, because that's really your baseline. So I've got a bit near this station here, so I just wanted to make sure that that was lined up, and the lowest part around on the other is just there. So right, I'm going to have a mount these backboards. Right, time to apply one of the least favourite jobs of mod railway, is applying the back seam. And I have chosen the ID back seams, and this is Llanberis, and it's number 255. Can't read it upside down, so hopefully that's focusing in. And it used to be one of my least favourite jobs. Well, it still is one of my least favourite, but it's not as bad as it ever used to be. I found this, and I've been using it on a couple of back seams now, and it's been fantastic. You get wrinkle-free back seams, you can reposition, and it's so much easier. You've just got to still have a patience, and you can still easily tear a back seam if you keep messing around. And I always make every single back seam a mistake on it. I sometimes get a little bit of glue on there on my hands, or I'll get a slight tear in it, or I'll get a piece that doesn't match up on the other side. So I've got the back seam out the tube, and I was just sort of measuring it up and just checking. And obviously these ID back seams come with a white border. Do I want to keep the white border, or do I want to take the white border off? That is a question, you know. So I don't know if you can see the line that I drew when it was on the layout. So that's the lowest part, but obviously when I drew the line, it's a few mil above that. So I don't know whether to risk taking the border off at the top. Obviously it'd look more realistic without that border. And if I do take it off and I sort of wander a little bit like this, sometimes you, especially on the larger pieces, you sort of, when you're rolling in here, you wander and then you go, oh no, you know, it's not always as easy. But I'm just thinking with this, will it look odd with that border at top? Because I'm not sure whether to put a lid on this layout or not, because I do like to have a lid sometimes. Don't always, but it looks quite good when you do a night scene or a day scene. So the one thing I also do is just make sure I have got these the right way round. So I don't want to start on sheet 2. So obviously these join up. Which is excellent. Now, where is the join going to be? That's another question. Because I don't really want a join on the back seam itself. So will I get a back seam and a side piece? No. So I'm going to have a join on the back seam. Sometimes that's not the ideal place. There's not a lot of choice I've got out of this one, because you're going to get the 2 sheets. So it's going to have to be on the back. That's a shame, because if I've got enough, I could obviously have started this and then joined another piece on this end. So I've not got that luxury. So yeah, right. I made the decision. I'm going to take the top off. Right, that was the bold move. Now I just want to get these glued in. So I think that's better. I've still got just enough space at the bottom there. And I've got a plan if it does go wrong at the bottom and it shows that white, I just put a few bushes around there and it'll disappear. The only part I've got is where, because I did say the lowest part and I forgot about the riverbed. So I'm going to have to make something just underneath the river, underneath the bridge of the river, because that's obviously going to come just right near the bottom. And I didn't think of that until now, but I could just paint that a green or something like that and it'll just blend in, because you won't be sort of staring right under the bridge and going, oh, that back scene don't look right. Well, hope people aren't. Right, I'm going to get the glue on here now then. Oh. Well, it seems to have glued the lid shut, so I'm going to have to find something to open that. Well, that was needed, and obviously it decided to glue itself closed, so I don't have a smaller brush, so I'm going to have to just pour a bit on and then brush it all in, I think, and hopefully we get enough over all the board. Nope, I think I've got too much there. Need to get this spread out now. Ideal if I'd got a smaller brush. I've been to B&Q earlier tonight as well. Should have picked some brushes up. Got too much down this end. Do a tiny little bit more. Right, that's all that on. So I'm going to stand up for this, I think. Hopefully it's all in view. Let me try and get it. Sure it's in the camera. And you can either see it going absolutely perfect or terrible. I want to try and get that top edge as straight as possible. Right, that has gone on, and like I said, got a bit of glue on my finger there, and it's got straight onto the sky. I just caught a little piece at the bottom and then rubbed the top. I hopefully will be able to get that back out once everything's dried with just a slight damp cloth. So I have done it in the past, but I might have to disguise that with something. Add a little bit of a cloud in there. I mean, if it was on the cloud itself, it would have been okay. It has to be on the blue sky, so it sticks out like a sore thumb. I'm going to trim that off now. So there is about 2mm that I just need to trim off at the edge there. I don't want to just tip it upside down and everything there's glue everywhere. So let me do this a different way. That's not going to work. That will. There we go. Right, I'm going to put that one to one side. I'm going to carry on with the rest, and I'll show you once I've finished. Right, I thought I'd add a few details to this river before we add any resin in and things like that. It won't be until towards the later part, but I've got this jetty that I want to add in. I've got a sunken boat. I think that way round would be better, and then I need to get some reeds. Not sure where to put that actually, whether it just goes here. I purposely made this slightly wider because I did think about having a jetty at that point, so boats could still go round and we'd have the boathouse here. So I've just sort of trimmed that a little bit, so I'm going to fix that in place and then stick some reeds in there as well. So I'm not going to put much reeds around this area, mainly around sort of the side that isn't used as much. Right, as you can see, zoom in a little bit, I've added the boat in, just put some reeds behind it, and once the resin goes in, that should actually look quite good. I'm going to put a few more reeds in. I just use this like long grass, cut it into the size that I want and then put it in. But I am going to put some glue all the way around all the edges. I'm not sure if zoom out a little bit. So yeah, a bit of glue around all the edges just to try and make it 100% watertight, and then where I put reeds into that glue it'll be fine, and the rest of the glue will dry clear. So I'm going to just do that now, and this is like I really wanted like an all-purpose glue, but this is more a contact adhesive, so I don't know whether it's going to work how I want it. Because contact adhesives work by using glue on both applications, but it did say this is waterproof and it dries clear. But I think it'll be watertight anyway because I've got plenty of paint, plenty of filler. It's just when you start pouring resin, it's always a worry. But
that's going to be towards the last episode really. I'm not going to be able to do that tonight. I'll have to get some under that bridge as well, but I think that'll be okay. Like I said, with this grass, I just cut off the size that I want. Just become a little bit of a pain. It's a lot easier with double O gauge because you can cut it a bit longer. And then I'm just going to apply a few pieces in all the way along the riverbank. And I do actually have quite a lot of this, so I'm not worried if I waste any. So I'm just going to carry on getting all that in, and then we'll come back. Well, I think that's all I can really do today. I have just dropped the backdrops on just for the final scene, but they're not dry yet and they've still got a few creases and wrinkles in. I also had a massive error there. I got a bit of glue on my finger and it stuck to the paper, tore a piece of the paper off. So I'm going to have to put a little bit of paint on there now. The gap, not very good. I apologise on that. I've got a couple of glue marks on the back seams as well, but like I said, that is my worst sort of job on all of these. There is a few wrinkles, but like I said, they should all go out once it's dried down. So I've only put them just in temporary, just for the final scene, but I'm going to just take them back off, lay them flat and leave them to dry properly. The river, yeah, I'm starting to look good. A few of the reeds in. I'm going to put a lot more reeds in, straighten them up a little bit, vacuum all the excess off, and hopefully get a little bit more scenery for next time you see it. But I'm going to have a go at doing all the point motors on the next episode before I really get to, I need to do a bit more testing and do the point motors. And I would say thank you for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this episode, and I wish you a very good evening, a very good rest of the day, and take care, and hopefully I'll see you on the next episode.